Today, I would like to talk about importance of requirement in a project delivery or a product delivery, which is based on Agile, Scrum, or Kanban ways of working. If I look at the Scrum ways of working, then we can see that we will have user stories which are being put into the sprint backlog, and from the sprint backlog, the team decides to pull out certain user stories for a given sprint, which could be 2 to 4 week sprint. And then they will have the execution whereby they have daily stand up in which they discuss about the progress, the blockers, and then at the end of the sprint, it is expected that the team will deliver a product increment. It could be a service delivery or a product delivery. So let's consider that we have a project in which we are going to have a team members. These circles indicates individual team member, but the size of the circle indicates what is their knowledge, what is their seniority in the team, how much experience they have, what are the skill sets for the product that is expected to be delivered by this team. So here we have a big circle indicating this is a senior most person in the team who has decision making power and who also has a very good understanding of the business domain. Versus a small circle indicates somebody who has recently started working in this particular industry and has a certain educational background but perhaps doesn't have so much of experience and skill set, so he will be learning as well as delivering for this particular product. Now when we do the sprint execution, obviously we will start by taking user stories from the backlog and then putting it into the sprint. We will execute the daily Scrum, and then at the end we will also have a product increment delivered. This, let's say, is one of the sprint, which is 4 weeks long sprint, and we continue doing this for several months. Let's say we did these for 3 months, so we are now at the end of March. Let's say we started at the beginning of 2025, January 2025, and by end of March, we have delivered 3 sprints, 3 product increment. The team worked very well, and now we are here at this point where we have completed certain aspects for the product that we are delivering. Now, during this time, there were certain changes. The senior person who is working in this team decided to leave. Along with that, a junior person also decided to leave, and one person who had mid-level experience also decided to change the team within the company. So that person, the last person, is not completely gone, but he's still around if there are certain questions that needs to be answered. But he's not actively working on this product anymore. So he decided to jump to another team within the company. So with this changes where 2 people are completely leaving, one very, very senior who also had a decision making power and one who is junior, but he did deliver and he did work on certain aspects of the product. Now these people will need to be replaced. When you replace this team members with other team members, sometimes it's not just that simple to do the handover, hire the new person in time so that the handover in person can take place, or even that you decide, the company decides to perhaps not hire somebody in the same office, i.e. they just start deciding to actually offshore something or outsource something to another company to do the delivery of certain part of the product that you are trying to work on. But remember, the user stories that were captured as part of the sprinting for January, February, and March, those user stories were broken down versions of the user stories that would fit in a particular sprint. They were not a complete requirement. They were, some part of the requirement that was small enough and precise enough so that it could actually be tested and be delivered as part of a given sprint. Now, the new team member who come in, they need to understand not just what is delivered, But what was the contextual information? Why certain part of the product was worked upon? And what decisions were taken during the time when the requirements elicitation process was taking place? So the business analysis team, the stakeholders, the product development team, the marketing team, the support team, the test management team, many people would have come together to define, what were the real product requirements. And then they also decide upon taking snapshot or baselines. And within the baseline, they decide upon certain further inclusion and exclusion of requirement based on the overall market expectation, the direction in which the company wants to go, the budget the company has, and so forth. Now, if you just do not have any requirements management tool in which you have the whole information about the product itself, then the newcomers, the people who join the project later on, will have to go through all the sprints and the user stories to fully understand what was delivered and why it was delivered. And remember, those user stories may not be complete description of the requirement. It could be three-liner like as a I want so that description. And it's also quite difficult to just simply go into a specific sprint, pick up certain requirements and understand the overall context of that requirement. Where exactly does it fit into the product? And what are the impacts if we decide to drop that requirement or change that requirement? That's why I believe that the requirements management application is very important, that gives overall contextual information along with traceability, along with snapshotting capabilities, which is nothing but baselines. And you can then decide that if you have several different item types or you have several different components that put together makes the product, then which component is outsourced, and when it is outsourced to a third party to deliver against that specification, then are those specifications based product being delivered? So the required testing can be done in a much better way compared to looking at those user stories which are just sitting inside your previously executed sprints, or user stories which were being moved over in a Kanban board. Okay, so let's consider that we are doing more execution of the sprint. After the month of March, we had change in the personnel or people, and then we continued in furthermore 3 months. Let's say we had a stable team that time, and then we also had some more personal changes at the end of 6th month, and then we are in the final phase, which is 3 more months of sprinting or execution in an agile way, and then we are ready to deliver our product. Now, after 9 months of working hard towards a particular product where we had some changes in the team, now we are ready to hand over this to a maintenance team or to another team who is supposed to now take over the maintenance as well as future enhancement of this product. So in that case, I'm expecting that the team size will be reduced, or we will have different skill sets in the future team. And this team, I consider it to be, let's say, in October 2025. So in fact, I would not say that we will have all these people around, but let me just say that we will have few people around. So this person will stay even in the maintenance area, and this person will also stay, and perhaps this person will also stay. But all the other people are actually leaving. They're going into some other projects. As we know, some has already left. There are some changes in the team, and we do not have these people who originally worked on this product. And then we have few more people who have joined the team, and they have different skill sets. So what I mean is they are more into maintenance, training, consultancy, and that sort of work. So the team size may reduce, may increase, but yeah, the skill sets, the requirement to work on that product has also changed a lot. But all these people who are now the team members may want to know what has happened to the product in terms of decision making process. Why that is important is because, let's say, the product is in production, many people are using it, but there is a certain issue which is a critical issue filed by a customer. For example, this product is nothing but a car, or maybe an application for making transactions for a bank. Now, we have seen in real world that there are reasons for which the car companies ask you to bring your car back in because there is certain problem with certain component, and they need to replace that component because there are certain risks associated with it. Or in a banking application which allows customers to do transactions, there was a new version released, and that version has created a problem because of which all the transactions are now blocked. It's a massive downtime for that bank because it's not able to do certain transactions. Now, just consider that these team members who are now working as maintainer of that application or a product, how will they really figure out what went wrong, why it went wrong, how the previous management team or the real product development team who worked on this particular project, what requirements they had worked upon, what decisions were taken. They have an option to go over all this sprinting backlogs, but sometimes the sprinting backlogs are not even accessible to the maintenance team. It could happen in a way that the maintenance team just got the product documentation along with certain aspects which are nothing but, let's say if it's a software application, then they got the source code and the testing scripts and so forth. If it's a car, then they got information about all the mechanics and the software that went inside the car, and also the information about which company supplied which component to build the car. But they may not have the complete access to fully understand what's going wrong with it unless they have access to the real requirements and the decisions that they had taken during their time when they were working on those requirements. Those decisions could be documented in a way that gets stored next to the requirement itself as part of the test cycle to capture the information about how that requirement was actually delivered, what were the risks, what are the loopholes or what are the pitfalls that had to be considered in the future based on the design decisions taken by the team during the product development life cycle. So because of all this thing, we believe even in the Agile and Scrum and Kanban ways of execution to deliver the product, requirements remains key and important. It helps the maintenance team, the development team, the test team to understand what was originally discussed, agreed upon, negotiated, and what are the context of those individual requirements in the overall large product that we are delivering. With that, I would like to thank you for watching this video, and if you have any specific comment, then please feel free to send it over, and we will appreciate if you look at this open source requirements management application, which is OpenRose. Have a great day. Bye.